But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too. We shall send to the moon 240,000 miles away from the control station in Houston, a giant rocket more than 300 feet tall, the length of this football field, made of new metal alloys, some of which have not yet been invented, capable of standing heat and stresses several times more than have ever been experienced, fitted together with a precision better than the finest watch, carrying all the equipment needed for propulsion, guidance, control, communications, food, and survival on an untried mission to an unknown celestial body, and then return it safely to Earth, re-entering the atmosphere at speeds of over 25,000 miles per hour, causing heat about half that on the temperature of the sun, almost as hot as it is here today, and do all this, and do all this, and do it right, and do it first before this decade is out, then we must be bold.
Good morning, everybody. That was a little piece I put together to kind of blend the old and the new, and that was what I did yesterday. Was to put Winston Churchill speech with the marches, with the Bernie marches, and today it was SpaceX and what they've accomplished, which I'm fairly certain mainstream media has ignored, but what SpaceX has accomplished and what Kennedy had to say back in 1962. Why? Why do we do these things? We do them because they are hard. Why does Rice play Texas? We do these things because they're what needs to happen. Because they're hard, because we're human beings, because we don't choose the easy path. And back then, if Kennedy had been faced with the opposition he faces today from the establishment, it never would have happened. Today, we're faced with an even worse scenario. And I wanted to run the Kennedy thing. We're going to talk about some of the things that were said yesterday. We're going to talk about yelling at the young so that we can wake up the old, and the respect that I have for the older generation. We're going to go into that really quick, but I want to say hi to everybody. Sean Porter had this great piece that he's going to talk about tomorrow about what's going on in Seattle. And this has to do with Citizens United, getting the money out of politics. And he's got some footage that he put together. He went to this event. This is taking an active role in your democracy, and we're going to look at that. Obviously, of course, the breaking news today is that Ben Jealous, former NAACP head, has endorsed Bernie Sanders, just one of many prominent minority leaders that have endorsed Bernie Sanders. And we're going to talk about the fallacy of establishment media continuing to say that Bernie Sanders lacks minority support. And I finally found their little nugget of information that they're using to blast this. And it's ancient. It's at least from September 2015. Do you think things have changed in the race a little bit since September of 2015? I think so. But we're going to talk about that. I realize, and let's say hi to everybody. Hi, Bad Wolf Time Lady. I saw your messages. I saw your notes. Everybody, yesterday was insane. Yesterday, we had some things go on that were absolutely insane. Hi, All In for Bernie. Hi, Northwest Alternative Media. Hey, everybody. Brenda Brown, JMar505, Libby Weed. Oh, you guys are all here. Ski Vermont, thank you. After yesterday's terrible, I really felt yesterday was good rant. We had a good conversation. It was good stuff, but I didn't feel good about what was said overall, and it was because I'm a human being. Okay? Our politicians are human beings, and we have to accept that. We have to accept that our politicians are not perfect. Now, I'm not giving them a blank check to do whatever the hell they please, obviously, but I'm a human being. You're all human beings, and hey, Jesse, hugs. It's yesterday was a hard day for me personally, and just with how much we're all working, with how hard we're all working, and the things that we're fighting, the frustration, the anger, my emotional state yesterday. It was very difficult for me to stop being angry and come in here and have a discussion with you. And I apologize if it was too angry, if it was more. I mean, I realize I drop a lot of F-bombs. I get passionate. I get angry about a lot of stuff. But I didn't really want to come off attacking. And I feel this is what happened. I offended some people attacking the older generation. And I played this piece from JFK, and I played the piece from Winston Churchill. I'm going to try to find more of these because I have a massive amount of respect for the older generation. I just want to remind them that they too had to make radical changes. And if they hadn't made radical changes, we'd probably be speaking German. I want to talk about, and the reason I'm bringing it up this way, guys, yes, we are going to talk about, we're going to talk more about Ben Jealous, obviously, absolutely. But I want to do this story first. And hi, everybody else. Hillary is not progressive. We will be talking about Hillary's not progressive. We will be talking about the Dem Town Hall, of course. But I'm not going to be talking about like, oh, she said this, he said this. We're going to look at the facts. And I have in the rundown, in the description of this event here, if you look in the description, I've got all of the links. And one of the links is to a Google Doc that has statements released by the Sanders campaign from Michael Briggs, who's the press. He releases all the press statements to us. And it's a nice list of all of Bernie's accomplishments. All right. And what I would like to ask of you guys, and yeah, I'm breaking into this real quick before we talk about Band of Brothers. What I would ask of you, Jesse Fairs, anybody else who wants to make memes, Steph, anybody out there who likes to make memes, because I want different versions of these. I want the creativeness. There are beautiful little paragraphs that said Bernie Sanders did this or tried to do this, and here's what the Republican Congress did, and here's what Hillary did. It's basically a recounting of correct history. We need to do everything we can to capture the history correctly, frame it truthfully, and blast it on the web, because the misinformation is now getting thick, super thick and disgusting. And so please grab that doc, take a look at it. Stick around or you'll resent it. I'm reading all your comments. I just saw some interesting come through. Anyway, so we're going to talk about that. But first, I want to talk about Band of Brothers. Like, why? We're actually not going to talk about Band of Brothers in just because we're going to. I'm suggesting the movie Band of Brothers to my generation and younger as a mostly factual based, very, very well done, accurately based story of the European theater in World War II, but in particular, Lieutenant, I think he ended up retiring as a colonel or a general, Winters, okay, who is what him and this band Easy Company is what Band of Brothers is about. I think it's a 10-part series. It was done by Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg back in the early 2000s. Won shit tons of awards. Okay, but it is one of the most graphic depictions and accurately graphic depictions of what these men, what the older generation had to go through. And obviously we're a generation past that, and a lot of those guys, most of those guys aren't around anymore. Major Winters, as he was in most of the movie, died in 2011. He was 96. But the real man The real man was around. And if you watch these movies, this is the kind of respect. But if you go to Wiki, and I have a link in there in the rundown about Richard Winters. Okay, he was a radical, folks. He was a radical. He understood what was going on, and he did everything he could. Everything he could. He stepped out of the box when they landed. This I'm not going to give all the story away. You really need to watch the series. All right, it's one of the few DVD sets I purchased. I own it. Band of Brothers, incredible. My point being, had he followed strict military guideline once they parachuted in, they would have been toast. Strict military guideline was not working. He said, "Screw the box. This isn't working. Let's do something different." And he came up with military tactics on the spot in the middle of a war. This is building the plane while it flies. Okay. And those tactics are taught at West Point today. Now, I'm not a big military fan, but it's irrelevant, right? What he did was it was incredible. And he, along with all of the other guys that had joined, they just signed up to the draft. It's not like he had a career in the military. It's just another guy, one of the 99. That's the kind of character. That's the kind of out-of-the-box, radical, badass thinking and doing that I think of when I think of the older generation, my father's generation and his parents' generation. That's what I think of. I have massive tons of respect. What I want to do is shake the dust off that radical. That's all. So I apologize if it came off bad yesterday. Lou, how you doing this morning? You around? You want to say hi?
Yeah, I had myself muted, John, because you were going and everyone. I'm coughing. I'm coughing just because it's been horrible here weather-wise. Good morning, everybody. I am seeing a lot of questions. Why is Bernie losing to the older generation? I think we're going to get into some of these questions and the polls. I will just state this just to get my funny in for the morning, my love train. Bernie asked it himself yesterday. Hillary's so progressive. Will she commit to not cutting Social Security? He already has. Maybe you should point that out to your parents and your grandparents, folks. Only one candidate says they will not do anything to cut Social Security. Back to you, John.
Thank you. And yeah, that's it's just another piece. Why? Listen, but the reason. Thank you, Lou. Look, we can all guess why Bernie is losing to the older generation, but it's very, very simple, folks. He is the radical. There is a new party, the Democratic Party, and there's an article. There's been several articles to this extent, two in the New Yorker actually, about. He has completely shifted, changed. The Democratic Party is not the Democratic Party. There is an establishment, and then there's the new Democratic Socialist Party that follows Bernie Sanders. It's just that mainstream media refuses to acknowledge that, or they're going to make Bernie and that party seem scary and the outlier. But the truth is, folks, there is an establishment two-party system, and there is a new party of people. Okay? This is no different than history, folks. Okay, this is history repeating itself again and again. New government formed by the people, new party of the people, the Progressive Party, the party that the people want, fighting the old, entrenched. This is how we do things. And we've been doing them this long, for so long that we're now corrupt and embedded with each other. And screw you, new young people. That's it. That's really what it boils down to, folks. The old want to hold on to what they have. It's secure. It's safe. And those who are in the establishment that recognize that this is how they make money and are corrupt want to stay there, of course. There is a difference there, folks. I don't want to criminalize every single person who's going to vote for Hillary Clinton as established. That's not the point at all. There are definitely criminals within the establishment. Okay? And we'll talk to Hillary's point in one of these about, if Bernie Sanders calls me I'm not a progressive, or I'm establishment. That's what she says. If Bernie Sanders is calling me establishment, then he's also calling Obama and Biden and everybody else. Yes, we are. Yes, he is, Hillary. Anybody who is taking a corporate paycheck and then acting, changing their mind, skewing their opinion based on that corporate paycheck. And you can't tell me you don't do this. Okay? We see the results. Okay? We've seen the results for 40 years. That's the point. You are all establishment politicians on that side. Okay? That doesn't mean you can't become a Bernie-crat, but you would have to lose ties with all of your corporate interests. Okay? This is about belonging. I want to make that clear that we are a nation together. It is about waking up and informing the electorate. That was if you know the mission statement of Bernie 2016 TV, which at this point, we used to reference it all the time. There used to be links to it and points to it, but that was back when we weren't building new channels every couple weeks. The goal of this channel was to inform the electorate, and we asked for your help. If I'm wrong, let me know. If I pulled the wrong information, find the right information. This is the people's channel. All right. And basically, I spend like an hour and a half in the morning and a couple hours late at night with these guys, everybody in the group scrambling together to see what the breaking news is. We pulled like 2 breaking news stories this morning. And then I work as fast as I can just to compile the information and have a discussion with you about it. All right. So I just want to say that too. We're going all over the place here. I'm reading your chats here.
Can I jump in on that point?
Please, go.
I'm starting to think here that it's not all bad. Everybody that's for Hillary, all not bad folks. The folks that, for O'Malley, for Rand Paul. O'Malley and Rand Paul people, I'll be the first to say, there's plenty of room on the train for you. Come on over. A lot of our stuff is all the same. But I start looking at this. I'm like, maybe it's like, I got 3 kids. Maybe it's like that blanket or that teddy bear that they've just had for so long that, Linus used to walk around with the blanket all the time because it's safe, secure. It was normal to him. It was familiar. And we, as in the populist, the progressive movement, the young movement, are saying the hell with the blanket. It's time to take that blanket away and grow up and realize that this country has got to grow up, for lack of better terms, and make that next jump in our great country's history and make it better, not just for a few people, but for everybody again. And that's always been part of our progressive pop-ups, is that it's changing or making something better for a group of people. This time it's for the majority. Back to you.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for adding that in. Gave me time to pull up this article, which is the first one I said we're going to talk about. And this is, of course, the endorsement by Ben Jealous here. And what I really want to talk about with this, okay, is finally tracking down this this supposed number. And Lou has some interesting stuff that I wasn't aware of on this, but for months now, we got to get the blue swirly stuff going. Blue swirly, there we go. For months since we started this, all I've heard is that Bernie Sanders lacks minority support. Bernie Sanders doesn't have the support of minorities. We don't know how Bernie Sanders is going to do in the South. 9,000 people showed up in Birmingham, Alabama at a rally, but we don't know how Bernie Sanders, those are all white people, folks. We don't know how Bernie's going to do in the South. Right? If they were actually broadcasting his ventures to the South to the people, they might actually see that he's got the support. It has nothing to do with race, folks. They're trying to break it down how much black support, white support, purple support, gay support. Do you have support of gays? What about lesbians? I don't know. How much more can we divide the American people? I want to read the statement within this article that is actually the issue here, and then we're gonna cut to the root of the bullshit where we're gonna go here. What it says down here is that the most recent poll, so I'm not sure where this most recent poll is, and if somebody can find me a more recent poll than the one I think they're referencing, then this is great. But the bottom line here, it says the most recent poll shows Sanders struggling to attract a sizable number of black voters in South Carolina. Sanders earned 17% of black voters, with Clinton earning 70%, according to an NBC Wall Street Journal Marist poll. Now, I cannot find this poll. I've gone to the Wall Street Journal polls, and they've got this lovely list of all these polls, and you can search for them by date, by month, okay? By release, I guess. Cannot find this poll. But I can find this. Okay. I can find this. Now, this is Ring of Fire Network's article about Bernie Sanders and how he can't figure out how to get minority vote to beat Hillary. Okay. Or what if he can't? Now, this is September 29th, 2015. I went to September 29th, 2015, which is an actual date set in the Wall Street Journal poll list. I'm not sure. Maybe it's buried in one of their larger polls, but I cannot find this voter data they're talking about. All right. But they reference the same stats. Okay. But Mrs. Clinton boasts one powerful advantage that poses a major impediment to Mr. Sanders, her 76% to 16% lead over Mr. Sanders among voters from minority groups. Now, is this the same percentage referenced from South Carolina? And here we're referencing again here in Ring of Fire, and it's referencing. So, I mean, this is the misinformation. Is there another poll? Please, if there is another poll, drop the link in here. Guys, get it to me in live production, and we'll find out. But this is the bullshit. And yes, Frederick Murphy, you said a lot of elderly people 65 and older are watching mainstream media. That is exactly what my point was yesterday. We have to take them by the hand them a tablet, open up YouTube. Okay? If they're okay with F-bombs, turn them on to this show. If not, turn them on to one of the other many shows reporting the truth or reporting news in an unbiased fashion, right? That's my point. I worked with my father to get, he's 76, okay? And he's, email literate, basic computer literate. I showed him how to do Google Hangouts. We brought him on shows. I needed to help him get more current. Now, he still doesn't watch YouTube on his television. He still gets his information from mainstream media. But if I send him a YouTube link, he understands to click on it, he watches it, and he learns. He's starting to learn that there's information out there on the web. He knows that information on the web is different from what's on mainstream media. But I think a greater problem there, folks, is I know Ring of Fire does like Bernie, but that was back in September of 2015. I don't know if you guys remember, back in September of 2015, everybody said Bernie doesn't have a shit chance in hell. Okay? Things have progressed pretty rapidly. I remember September. That was right before we lost Channel 3. Things that mainstream media has been dissing Bernie for a long time. Ring of Fire was saying, what's going to happen if he doesn't have these stats? They're basing this on a poll from September 29th. If you really look at the poll numbers, folks, it doesn't break down by race. It breaks down by age alone. And that is the issue. If you're older, doesn't matter if you're purple, plaid, black, brown, white, you are more likely to get your information from mainstream corporate establishment bullshit media, and therefore your view, and this is really where if you were going to use a defining moment to show the world, here's how establishment media lies, and here's how it affects our political process. If there were ever any greater existing example of why we need to end the 1996 Telecommunications Act, this would be it. That we are fighting for the planet, and all we are truly fighting is misinformation being provided to our parents and grandparents, who would probably be more than willing to listen to the truth if they knew where to find it. That is what frustrates me the most, folks. Not that they are old, not that they are unwilling, that they are not being given the truth. With shit like this, Sanders still 16% among minorities, based on a poll taken so fucking long ago that it can't possibly be accurate, and it probably wasn't accurate to begin with. And race doesn't fucking matter in this election. But they're gonna make it an issue. They're gonna make it an issue because this is how they divide. What matters in this election is the old versus the new. That's it. It's really what it comes down to. What do we say in the comments? Lou, you want to expound on that? You have any feelings you want to share, or what's been going on in chat about that?
First off.
Uh-oh. Don't freeze on me once you start. Just froze, Lou. I hope you come back. Yeah, we've got shit. Yeah, internet's funky. I'm not hearing you, and you're froze, Lou, so I don't know what's going on.
Oh, John.
Yes?
Hey, sorry, guys. There was some chat about, yes, there is a difference in media and where folks are getting their media, but I think that's part of what we've been talking about for a while, that this break really in the electorate is not about, race, color, sexual orientation. It really does break down at numbers of age, and the folks that saw the town hall last night, it was kind of sad to see one person get asked, why is it only young women are not supporting you? Why are you not getting them? Because the media, whether they want to admit it or not, they do understand that it is the 45 and unders, the millennials and Gen Xers, the internet independents that get our information from outside channels that are understanding about Bernie Sanders.
Right.
Where the folks that grew up thinking and knowing and seeing that news channels in the 60s and 70s and in the 80s were breaking actual news, they still believe that that's the way to go. And so that's where they're getting it from. And so when John says reach out, bring them to these outside media sources, bring them to these independent media sources, that's where you see that age split. When it comes to the race thing, hey, I'm a white guy, so I can't speak too much on it, but I will say this. I think there's been a continuous narrative on everybody from Killer Mike and Cornel West to Jared Rice up in New York, to Ben Jealous today, that all say that basically almost the same thing. Didn't know a whole bunch about him, didn't really know, what his thoughts were, didn't know his history, didn't know his not just talking the talk because it's presidential year, but been walking the walk. And once they start folks start listening to him, and this is just indicative of anybody. I don't think it has to do with race or minorities. I think it's everybody. Once you really start listening to the man and the plans, it really starts falling into place that the whole puzzle can be put back together again. The fabric of the American dream can be stitched back together. Back to you, John.
Thanks. And yes, it can. And that's exactly what it's really sad because mainstream media, the journalists, they're well aware. They know this. They're not stupid, but they're stuck. They're stuck in jobs. This is how they feed their family. They're going to have to make a choice. Eventually, they're going to have to make a choice between journalistic integrity and a paycheck. And that's what it's going to come down to. And some of them have made that choice. Ed Schultz, for one. Okay. I don't know who else. I know a lot of people, but Ed Schultz got canned because he told the truth. Ed Schultz got canned because he was talking the truth. He's got his own show. He's doing his own thing, whatever he's now. But I know he's not part of mainstream media anymore. He's with us on the internet. The internet is where the truth is told, which is funny because for years, I've been in the SEO industry for a long time, web development industry for a long time, folks. This is what I used to do. I would fight constantly. Well, the web's just shit. No, there's no good information on the web. How can you even source good content on the web? Well, we have been doing that for each other, with each other, together, socially, for more than a decade now. We know the truth because we produce it. And if it's wrong, we correct it. That's what the web does. That's what makes this so much more powerful than what the establishment has in their machine. That's why we have to get everybody here. So thank you for saying that. And on that note, let's just cut right from that, Bernie Sanders, minority support. How about this? I'm fairly certain she's a minority. Bernie's army is running for Congress. This is a story about Sanders Democrats, like Nevada's Lucy Flores, and how they aim to amplify the Vermont Senator's uncompromising message in Washington and move the party in a populist direction. This is a populist government movement. It has happened before, folks, and older generations are well aware. Younger generations think this is probably new, fun shit. Older generations are like, this has happened before, and before, and before. In fact, the whole reason we fucking exist as a nation is because we were a populist movement to get away from a monarchy. That's what a populist movement is. Bernie Sanders is the new movement, and the people are behind him. That's what this comes down to. So I want to remind everybody right now that one of the reasons we're talking about this, one of the reasons we're talking about the discrepancies and the issues and that imaginary poll for minorities that I still can't find on Wall Street Journal. And if any of you can find an actual link to a new poll about minority data, I would love to find it. Okay, but I do not think it exists. All right. Remind you that in the description of this event, there is a very long list of links. Okay. Those links, that's artillery. That's weaponry for you. Okay. I want you to grab those links and work with them. There's a Google Doc in there, and that Google Doc is from the Sanders press release, and it has these nice little chunks of information. Please make memes out of those. Please share them with me. We'll put them online. We need to blast these things out all over the place. This is how we fight, right? Because if you're 65 and older, grandparent, parent, whatever they happen to be, is scrambling through Facebook one day looking at cats and bacon, and all of a sudden a meme comes through that says, this is what Bernie Sanders did for vets, and this is what the Republican Congress did that entire time to you know what they need to see these little chunks of truth. Right? That's what I'm looking to do here. So please help me out with that. Looking at your comments here. Hey, everybody.
Shameless self-plug.
What? Yes, please.
Shameless self-plug for Bernie 2016 TV. We the people, as of right now, we have Alette Valentine from Colorado going to be coming up on the, I believe, the 18th of this month. And there's more to come. That the narrative, the false narrative that, for lack of a better term, minorities are just going to back Hillary, I think is in itself false. And that's where John keeps asking about, let's find some harder numbers. Because, yeah, one of the most stunning things I had to realize in May of last year was that the name recognition was the main problem. Only 2% of minority communities had ever heard Bernie Sanders' name.
Right.
In the white communities, it wasn't that much higher, believe you me, except for up in the Northeast. But that name recognition for the Clinton name was at like 95% in May. Right. She had no further to go up. She was topped. She was maxed. But Bernie has been going up, and his name recognition now, the last I saw, is at just under 50%. And as you see the name recognition go up, you see the numbers of folks supporting him go up. All it's going to take, and this has started to happen with Iowa, now they have to talk about him, good or bad. They have to mention his name, and that's causing more people to go to Google and actually look it up, just not buy the mainstream idea of what he is.
Exactly. Thank you for mentioning that. And I want to show you this, guys. Terrence Strait is today. Right? We've had a lot of people on We the People. It's these new populist candidates. Okay. And I'm going to read you a beautiful quote from this, what Bernie Sanders has done the best. Okay. But Google, here's another place where I get pissed off, guys. We've had a massive catalog of We the People. We have been interviewing progressive Bernie-crats for a long time. That's why we started the program, We the People. Okay. Gail Finney, Tom Fegan, Gary Kroger, Alex Law. I can't remember I almost had them all in my head. We had another gentleman from Florida who was a vet, Jesse Smith. Okay. We're going to have Nina Turner last Thursday, but of course, things are so crazy, we got to reschedule that, but she will be on our show. We invite all of them. Who? Sorry?
Oh, I was just plugging other people we have coming on. Tim Canova's coming on.
Okay, Tim Canova is coming on. Thank you. But we've got Terrence Strait, 4th District candidate from Maryland. And here's the thing, folks. We didn't have all of these candidates to interview 4 years ago. The reason all these people are running is because Bernie says you can. And because we've proven that the people have pretty much an unlimited amount of funds in small donations at a time to get any candidate we need to elected. Now, it's sad and pathetic that we have to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to fight establishment to elect our candidates. But imagine if we get it done this year. Boot out all of the old candidates that just don't understand that it's time for the populist movement to revitalize this planet for everybody. Okay? And then it won't be that hard, and it shouldn't be that costly because we're going to take money out of politics. We shouldn't have to spend every fucking dime we have to force our government to run the way we want it to. just something fucked up about that. Terrence Strait is today, folks. Looking forward to talking with him. Angela Valdez, volunteer. What I was talking about with Google and YouTube is that we lost Channel 4, which had a good portion of our We the Peoples on it. We lost Channel 3, which had We the Peoples on it. Pretty sure we were doing We the People on Channel 2. There might be some left on there. But the proof, the data of what we're recording is being deleted by YouTube and Google. This is another way they fight us. When people say, well, how come other people can crop out CNN stuff and put it on screen and blast it? It's because they're not getting 30, 40, 50,000 views and 50,000 comments like we do when we do what we do here. Like we do when we do here. What we do, we are a target, folks. We have become a big, giant target for the establishment. And YouTube and CNN and the other major media companies, anytime we try to use any of their shit, come by and slap us. That's why I'm like, go watch the feed with the other guy, because, you know, until he becomes a target, he's going to be good. Right? Here's the beautiful, beautiful thing in that article. This is by David Dayen on New Republic. Bernie's army running Congress. Look at that. The greatest gift that Sanders, the longtime independent, has given to the Democratic Party is inspiring a progressive revolution from within. That means he's changed the Democratic Party, folks. It's got more youth involved in it than it ever has before, ever. And that is the problem. That the youth see the new, recognize the new, and they get their information from the internet. The old do not. For the most. And look, P&P Railroad. Apparently you're older. I'm older. I'm 46. I could be called old. Okay. I am not knocking, I'm not generalizing, I'm not knocking old. All I'm saying is that there is an information breakdown between generations, and we need to bridge that gap. And if more corporate elitist journalists would leave their jobs for the sake of the planet and this country, I promise you we could probably get you a paycheck real soon from another media network. We just need to start one that doesn't function like the six. And we're working on that. Actually. Lou, did you want to come in with something?
Well, I was going to jump in with just this whole youth movement in the Democratic Party and my thoughts on that, because it's different than any other time, you know, when Obama come in and folks jumped in, or when Gore came in 2000 and had the quote unquote youth movement, that most of those folks were happy to come in and just take orders, you know, happy to be there. This new youth movement, this new young group of progressives that are trying to work within the Democratic Party, a lot of them were told a couple years ago that, hey, the only way you could change anything is by working with us. They've come in and they've said, no, we're not just going to take orders. We're not just going to listen and propagate what you want us to do. We have our own minds and views, and this is why you see so many new, fresh faces coming out in support of Bernie Sanders, names you've never heard of, but are going directly against entrenched establishment candidates, because America, in short, is kind of, some of us have woke up and said, we can change these things. We don't have to just sit here and wait and change it's going to go glacier slow. We can put the pedal to the metal, make this whole thing go. And it's just it's a wonderful thing to see. But it is that whole thing. Okay, we're coming into your party, and instead of just taking orders, we would like to just start over right now, because it needs to be done.
Right. And honestly, that first of all, I want to hit on that in terms of speed, because that is the difference. That's one of the major differences between the old and the young generations. The speed with which we intake information and how we process that information, which is a big thing contested amongst academics. But I just want to say this is beautiful. I mentioned age. We're talking about age groups. Everybody in chat is posting their age. I just think that's awesome. Like, I'm 44, 65, 67. You know what? I just want to, and somebody's 185. Damn, what are you, a Time Lord or something? Pretty young for a Time Lord. What do you do to stay up? Here's the thing, folks. Age means so little today. But in my parents' generation, age was a massive factor. I mean, it still is for my dad, right? My dad and my mom is now passed, and my mom died from cancer, horrifically. It was terrible. It was just disgusting, horrible what her choices were there. And the whole time she was suffering from cancer, she worked. That's a whole other thing. But my point being there is that medical advances have come so far. And I venture to say that there is a millennial generation, okay, the newer millennial generation, that is not being fed on fast food, that is not being fed on high sucrose corn syrup, okay? You know, I was lucky. I had parents that were good enough, were well off enough with me, that with us as kids, you know, but what I'm trying to say is they fed us healthy. I didn't know it at the time, and I was all pissed off. Why am I getting wheat bread and an apple instead of, you know, what every other kid's getting? My parents made smart choices for me back then. Where I'm going all with this is that health. We know how to take care of ourselves better today. We are more educated about our own health because we can go online and learn things about our own health. And we ask questions of doctors. And anybody who says, well, if you're going to be a WebMD, that's just confusing the issue and it's difficult for doctors. Fuck you. If my mom hadn't done her own research, she would have been dead twice because of the doctors. And I have so many other people that have had this same situation because of the status of healthcare in our country. But what I'm saying is that age doesn't make a fucking difference today. You can be 83, kicking ass and smart as hell. You can be 25 and a dumb shit and slow and in pathetic shape. There's today people live longer, they do more, they're stronger. There's a difference between this generation and 2 generations ago. And that factor needs to be considered here. You know, all of you here, I love the fact, and I'm going to show you some stats, and then we're going to run this video from Darcy. Thank you, Darcy, for giving the little video. I love these videos. It's great. It can be low tech. It's fine. Audio just needs to be okay. It's good. I love the video. This group is diverse. The internet has allowed us to become diverse. The internet, for all that everybody was complaining about, well, I don't know who they are, and authenticity, and you know, you need to be, you know, who are you? But the internet allowed us to ignore those barriers. I love the fact that half the people I probably talked to put up a picture of themselves from 30 years ago, and I just assume that's a recent picture, but they're like all your pictures. I have no idea. When I look at these ages, I'm like, really? You're that old? You're that young? You're that? It doesn't make a difference, but it's surprising to me. It's like, oh, and it's interesting where I didn't really think about people's age, and I'm still not gonna, because I really can't remember who said what they were. But when you take that factor away and just read your words in chat, when you take a face away that might suggest age and just read that person's words, it allows you to remove what might be prejudice. It allows you to remove what might be, you know, skewed thinking about that person based on what their face looks like, based on their age, if you know it. And so this is cool. This is what the internet has done. The internet provided anonymity so that we could all just speak our minds without fear. And then we discovered, you know what? We don't have to be anonymous to speak our minds without fear on the internet. And now we, as millennials with Bernie Sanders and the younger generations, are realizing, you know what? We don't have to be afraid of speaking our minds at all because we own this damn government. It belongs to us. What the hell are we doing? Pissed off on the internet. Take it to the streets. And that's what Occupy did first. That's what's happened here. It's this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful grouping. But for all that the establishment tries to push down the web and push down technology and claim it, and you want to know why TPP goes through, you want to know why Obama wants to control the internet so bad, because we realize here we can have a voice and it doesn't divide us. The internet does not divide us.
Because of this.
There you go. Because of a mobile phone. But
this.
Yeah, I mean, mobile phones are definitely one piece of it. But with a mobile, I mean, it's
no.
We're what? Go ahead, Luke.
No, because of this. Because, and me and you have talked about this, and you've talked about this and ranted on this a couple times. This has more power in it, more technology in it than most of the world's government, most of the government systems in the world. These little phones now we can record the police acting wrong. We can record the politicians not doing what they're supposed to do. We could transmit to the world our thoughts and views and have them come back to us. We went from being in screens and texts in chat rooms to now being able to relay not only text information, but audio and visual information at a drop of a dime on things that we think is a crime against humanity. These right here in the internet have become the tools of spreading real news.
Yep. No, you nailed it. Actually, you're absolutely right. That's why this system was created around the idea of a Google Hangout. Mobile phones and our ability to be the news, our ability to tell the truth, is what's caused a whole bunch of problems for mainstream media and the establishment. We know the truth. We can share it with each other, and we are finding out that we all know the truth. And so, it reminds me of a game. I'll have to think of another. Literally what's happening is this populist movement just needs to keep including. This is a movement of belonging. I want to make that clear, that for all of my ranting and all of my passion and anger about individuals, about old and young and whatever, and people making dumb decisions, whatever, this is a movement of belonging. And I never want to lose that. Dan Benavidez, where's your book, Dan? I always lose your book. This is a belonging revolution. This is about everybody having a place and being cared for in this world. That doesn't mean that we're not going to put criminals in jail. That doesn't mean that we're not going to try Exxon for crimes against humanity and put those pieces of shit in jail. We're, people that need to be, brought to justice need to be brought to justice. But everybody needs to belong. Everybody needs to be cared for because we can. And we want to. And that's really all the establishment needs to understand. We can, we want to, we're gonna. Okay? It makes logical sense to all of us. Don't really care if it makes logical sense to all of you. Okay? Time has come for the populist movement. Step aside. This has happened before. All right? It is about all of us. By the way, I did see the badass protests in Auckland, New Zealand, and I had some of that footage. And I was actually going to include some of that footage in the thing, but I couldn't find where it really fit. I keep saying I'm going to run this thing from Darcy. I'm going to run this thing from Darcy because I really need to go take a bio break. Then when I come back, we're going to talk about the state of things at Bernie 2016 TV really quickly. And we're going to talk about how you guys can help me, because I'm changing the way I function here so that we can go online within like 10 minutes of notice. And I can broadcast anything you bring to me that needs to be brought to the attention of the world. This is a big amplifier, and I've kind of changed things here so that I can accommodate that. All right. And that's one of the reasons why things have been insane here. But we'll talk about that in a second. I want to play Darcy's video because this is an example of how we work together to tell the truth. I love this, that you guys all being here. Ah, so beautiful. Thank you. Check this out. Check this out. This is from Darcy, and it should give me enough time to rush off. I think someday, guys, I'm gonna have one more person here to do all this bullshit with me, and then it might actually seem like some sort of a professionally kind of show. Here we go. Thank you very much, Darcy.
You're welcome. Great show. Thanks for having my video on the show. This is a real quick video on my iPhone. Talked a lot about the generations today, millennials and baby boomers, obvious. I thought I'd share a quick anecdote about my generation, Generation X, the generation that actually didn't even get a name. We got the lack of a name. Now, when I went to school, I quite quickly found out that my parents had put some money aside for school, and the bankers had told them, oh yeah, this is going to be more than enough to afford school. Well, I got to school and they quite quickly told me at the school, no, this is actually not enough to pay for your education. So I had to start taking out loans. And then in my second year of school, well, they put tuition up by about 10% or so. In my third year, it was up by another 10 or 12% or something like that. And I struggled my way through, and I had to take out lots of loans. And then I got out to a job market that was changed. It was a lot different than the expectations that I was brought up with. See, I was brought up in the 70s where I was told, oh, I can do anything I want, just like the baby boomers generation. You just go to school, you get a job, everything's going to be fine. Well, that's not the way it worked out, because something was happening when I was a teenager in the 80s, back in 1984, when Americans re-elected, not just elected, they re-elected Ronald Reagan. This is when I was 12 years old. I look back to that and go, wow, that is really the day that everything just went completely downhill. We've been living with this downhill thing for 30 some years. So I want to reach out to Generation X and remind them of what they went through, because they went through the same thing that I went through. Friends of mine are now in their early 40s, and they're actually just starting their families. They're just buying their first home. And these are smart people that do important work, but it took so long to pay back their student loans. Now you've got all these young people. We have so many educated people with nothing to do because the establishment doesn't want them to do anything. Thanks, Bernie TV. Thanks for everything you're doing. Sorry that this is a low-tech video, but tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up and make a better video for you that focuses a little bit of attention on the media. Media does influence people. They are biased against Bernie Sanders. So thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Darcy. That's awesome. That's yeah, we are Gen X. We weren't even given a name. Gen X, and then my sister unfortunately was like Gen Y, proto millennial. She was like 6 years younger than me. Yeah, we're Gen X. And the funny thing is, I don't know, I always think of Gen X and I think of the band Generation X, which makes me think of Billy Idol, who was in that band. It's actually kind of a cool rocker. Seen him a couple times. Anyway, that's where I go with that. I don't know why. We have to remember Reagan. Maybe I'm going to play Reagan today. Here, let's just put up my favorite new meme from Jesse Fair's. Bernie Strong, Killer Mike, Reagan. Ronald Reagan was an actor, not at all a factor, just an employee of the country's real masters, just like the Bushes, Clinton, and Obama, just another talking head telling lies on teleprompters. Okay? Yes, just like Obama, Hillary, just like you and Obama and Biden and every other payroll establishment candidate. That's all. What's up there, Lou? You just in? Just in. Cool. All right. So I'm looking at the comments. I love coming over here and just seeing something. Shaw Pony, something about long hair and flannels. I want to know what that conversation was. My first concert was to see Billy Idol. Yeah, I saw him at the Weenie Roast way back in SoCal, long time ago. And he, this 10, 15 years, I don't know how long ago, 10 years ago at least. And my God, I was like, this is Billy Idol. And he did not look any different. He looked the same as he looked in 1984. And he was just kicking ass, taking names. And the same guitar player, that guitar player, I can't remember his name, but he's a badass guitar player. That guy's been with him forever too. I'm pretty sure it's just an amazing guitar player. Kicks ass. Anyway, we're talking about Billy Idol. Talk about this stuff. Let's move on a little bit here. I had we're going to talk about Bernie TV and where we sit. I have a workflow list. So we've talked about the breaking news, Ben Jealous endorses Bernie, and what that really means. We talked about the events. We're talking about events. So basically, yesterday, I'm going to tell you a little bit of the craziness that happened the last 2 days. Bernie Sanders has just announced, I don't even have all of the press releases from Michael Briggs to show you guys. I'm going to push them out after this. But he's going to hit, I don't know how many places in New Hampshire. He already has New Hampshire like down, but he is hitting so many places in New Hampshire. And I will tell you this right now. I have no idea what streams we will have. I don't. We are given zero notice. If we are given notice, it's maybe a day's notice, like that morning and then that night. Maybe it's 24-hour. But here's what happened in the last 2 days. We had a stream, then we didn't have a stream. Can't explain why. Then we were going to have another one the next day, and it was good. And then the gear ended up in one place in America, along with some people, and then the people that needed the gear were in the place that the event was happening. This is, you know, traveling on, as fast as Bernie Sanders and the crew are traveling. This is what's going on. Gear ending up over here, some people over here. I can't even tell you the specifics, but it's fucking funny. It'd be interesting if it actually gets out of what happened. It wasn't with the Sanders camp. It was with another camp, but I'll let the media see if they pick that up or even bother with it. And I'm not going to say it. If you guys can find out what happened, then go for it. But it happened with the camp that has an exclamation point. I'll give you that hint right there. Okay.
And asked for applause yesterday.
What? Ask for applause.
Jeb Bush was at a rally yesterday and he did a speech and he literally asked the crowd to clap for him, to show him applause.
You gave it away, first of all, but then I had but that's okay. And everybody gets it with the exclamation point. Really? He asked them for applause?
Yes. He's like, please clap.
Please clap for me.
It was kind of sad.
I thought he dropped out. I really thought he had dropped out. I can't believe he still has somebody.
He's still got millions to burn.
Well, I mean, is he just going to wait until they figure Cruz can't actually be president and hope he flies in or something? I don't know. We talked about Bands Brother. We did Darcy. Carter and bribery. I think this is more important. But no, let's go Carter. So Jimmy Carter, folks, I want to tell a quick story about Jimmy Carter. It's my own embarrassment about not understanding mainstream media. Granted, I was in the third grade. It's in the third grade. But here's the deal. So here's Jimmy Carter speaks out about legalized bribery. Former U.S. President Jimmy Carter has warned that U.S. politics has been corrupted by billions of dollars of campaign financing following a Supreme Court ruling. He says legalized bribery. Now, this article came out Wednesday, February 3rd. Yesterday. I've got a slide we can go to here. Right here. Reframe. Now, this is the actual words I'm reading for you. But what I want to go, I'm gonna cut down here. Speaking after Iowa caucuses in which Republican candidates spent $43 million on TV advertising. $43 million spent on Iowa TV ads. The Democratic candidates spent $16.8 million. Okay. So that's between Sanders. I'm guessing O'Malley might have done a commercial. I don't know. Sanders and Hillary there, $16.8 million. I can guess who spent the majority. Carter said that the domination of money in politics represented the biggest change since he was elected in 1976. Absolutely. In an interview for BBC's Radio 4, blah, 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 he said, I didn't have any money when he ran. Now there is a massive infusion of hundreds of millions of dollars into campaigns for all the candidates. Some candidates like Trump can put on his own money, but others have to raise $100 million. Trump is not doing his own money. He's losing. He doesn't have any campaign funds coming in. But the point of this, the erroneous ruling of the Supreme Court, Carter said, where billionaires can put in unlimited amounts of money, give legal bribery the chance to prevail. Because all the candidates, whether they are honest or not, or whether they are Democratic or Republican, depend on these massive infusions of money from very rich people in order to have money to campaign. I mean, and anybody who thinks that massive infusion of money, when George Soros gives Hillary Clinton, he's one of two people from that investment realm of Soros's that provided more than $40 million to Hillary Clinton. He provided $7 million. He just recently wrote a check for $6 million because the $1 million he'd given her in 2015 was not enough. Okay. If anybody, and this is, if you don't think that is not affecting the campaign, not affecting how Hillary votes, come on, people. This is exactly what we're fighting here. The move on to that is we're talking about legalized bribery here. Even the Des Moines Register, who came out for the editorial board, the 1% of the editorial board of the Des Moines Register, which is for Hillary, has called for a recount of the Iowa caucus. But that's not going to happen because the corruption that Carter talks about goes farther than bribery. Because what it does is cause what Lou was talking about. Inaction. And Darcy was talking about a generation of people that have been told they don't need to act We don't want you to act. And that, folks, that, we're going to go to some Bernie memes and quotes and say, that, folks, let me just show you the, here's our democracy. This could probably, I could show this to my dad. I could show this to my 96-year-old grandma, and she would go, yep, she'd get this. Okay. Democracy explained very simply. And then here was another one sent to us. Here's our democracy. Here's the difference between the two candidates right now. That is what's going on, folks. That is what's going on. I lost my, where'd it go? Annie McGuire. Oh, that's the Annie McGuire story. It's the Annie McGuire story. I don't know. I went off a rant. Totally lost my place. Lou, where was I going? I had to show you the economy thing. Where the hell was I going there?
You're talking about money and politics and about how Jimmy Carter was speaking about how everybody, whether you're honest or not, big money is such infused into it that everybody gets questioned. I would take the flip side of that coin and say there is only one person who's getting big money, but not from big money sources. And that would be Bernie Sanders, who after the Iowa caucuses, as we all know, raised $3 million in 24 hours after we had just announced that he had raised 20 million the month before. But here's the startling and surprising fact in that big money push from the people of America, not just a few billionaires. In that 24 hours that $3 million was raised, 4 out of 10 donors were 100% new to giving money to Bernie Sanders. That means 40% of the donors are brand new. And that's we huge. Haven't maxed out 90% of our donors as it is. We're just adding more to the rolls.
Right.
Back to you.
Right. That's huge. That's huge. Thank you. Thank you for filling in for me, Lou. I totally got off a track there. That's and here we go. This is where we get into what happened with the Dem town hall a little bit, and Clinton apparently defending her progressive record. Okay. Her progressive. Wow, I'm frozen there. Come on, really? Oh, my bad, guys. The cameras don't like really running unless I turn their fans on. Cameras are unhappy. I apologize for the freeze. Give it a second.
I think that says it all right there, guys. I do not know any progressive who has a super PAC and takes 15 million from Wall Street.
That's it. That's it. Clinton moved quickly to defend her record, saying that under Sanders' criteria, this was talking about earlier, folks, President Barack Obama, Vice President Joe Biden, and even the deceased Minnesota Senator Paul Wellstone, a champion of liberal causes, would not be considered progressive. Now, I don't even know who that guy is or when he was around. It's irrelevant. I know where I stand, said Clinton, but I don't think it helps for the senator to be making those kind of comparisons because clearly we all share the same hopes and aspirations for our country. No, we don't, Hill. Not even close. Her apparent position on gay marriage, leave it to the states, is about as progressive as Dick Cheney's circa 2004. Okay. This is, an article that's also in the rundown, guys, from the Inquisitor, but I'm going to run this little clip here. I know I can run this. It shouldn't mess up anything. If it does kill the stream, I apologize deeply. I run this before, I'm pretty sure, so we should be okay. This is a great little cutout by Michael Armstrong, and it's entitled Hillary Clinton Lying for 13 Minutes Straight. We're not going to go 13 minutes in, though. We're just going to watch the first few minutes and just because I can't. We get too far into this, and I get so pissed. I get so bad. So here, just watch this with me, folks.
You were against same-sex marriage. Now you're for it. You defended President Obama's immigration policies. Now you say they're too harsh. You supported his trade deal dozens of times. You even called it the gold standard. Now, suddenly last week, you're against it. Will you say anything to get elected?
Well, actually, I have been very consistent over the course of my entire life. I have always fought for the same values and principles.
Do you think New York State should recognize gay marriage?
No.
No. Okay.
I believe that marriage is not just a bond, but a sacred bond between a man and a woman.
I have not supported same-sex marriage. I have supported civil partnerships and contractual relationships.
I support marriage for lesbian and gay couples. I support it personally and as a matter of policy and law.
So you're saying your opinion on gay marriage changed, or you changed your mind?
I have to say, I think you are being very persistent, but you are playing with my words and playing with what is such an important issue.
I'm just trying to clarify so I can understand.
No, I don't think you are trying to clarify. I think you're trying to say that, I used to be opposed and now I'm in favor and I did it for political reasons, and that's just flat wrong. So let me just state what I feel like you are implying and repudiate it. I have a strong record. I have a great commitment to this issue, and I am proud of what I've done and the progress we're making.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just want to clarify what I was saying. No, I was saying that you maybe really believed this all along, but, believed in gay marriage all along, but felt for political reasons America wasn't ready yet and you couldn't say it. That's what I was thinking.
No, that is not true.
It really is great how long you've supported gay marriage.
Yes. I could have supported it sooner.
Well, you did it pretty soon.
Yeah. Could have been sooner.
Fair point.
Just in July, New Hampshire, you told the crowd you, quote, take a backseat to no one when it comes to progressive values.
I take a backseat to no one when you look at my record and standing up and fighting for progressive values.
Last month in Ohio, you said you plead guilty to, quote, being kind of moderate and center. Do you change your political identity based on who you're talking to?
No, I think that like most people that I know, I have a range of views, but they are rooted in my values and my experience.
I get accused of being kind of moderate and center. I plead guilty.
Just for the record, are you a progressive or are you a moderate?
I'm a progressive.
Going through the emails, there were over 60,000 in total sent and received. About half were work-related and went to the State Department, and about half were personal, that were not in any way related to my work.
When you speak to the public, you say, I turned over everything. That's, for the most part, a direct quote. When you talk to the public, you say, I turned over everything.
90 to 95% of my work-related emails were in the state system. If they wanted to see them, they would certainly have been able to do so.
You know what? That is maybe the 10th time you have cited that figure today.
It is.
And I have not heard anyone other than you ever cite that figure. Who told you that 90 to 95% of your emails were in the State Department system? Who told you that?
We learned that from the State Department in their analysis of the emails that were already on the system.
The Inspector General report found that less than 1% of State Department emails, record emails, were captured. So they give a number of less than 1%, and you give a number of 90%.
I have absolute confidence that everything that could be in any way connected to work is now in the possession of the State Department.
This pile represents the emails that you sent or received about Libya in 2011, from February through December of 2011. This pile represents the emails you sent or received from early 2012 until the day of the attack. There are 795 emails in this pile. We've counted them. There are 67 emails in this pile in 2012. And I'm troubled by what I see here. I can only conclude by your own records that there was a lack of interest in Libya in 2012.
The server contains personal communications from my husband and me.
Only time I got on the internet, I did 2 emails, and I ordered Christmas presents from a reservation. Otherwise, I found people said embarrassing things on emails. I didn't want to be one of them.
I mean, and how many angels dance on the head of a pin? I have really nothing to, I mean, how do you answer that?
I represented Wall Street as a senator from New York, and I went to Wall Street
in December of 2007, before the big crash that we had, and I basically said, cut it out. Quit foreclosing on homes. Quit engaging in these kinds of speculative behaviors.
Now, who's exactly to blame for the housing crisis? I think there's plenty of blame to go around. Home buyers who paid extra fees to avoid documenting their income should have known they were getting in over their heads.
We're just going to stop there before I get even angrier. Maybe that's a good video, and that link is in the chat, guys. That's probably a good video you could show. Send that to whoever you can, please. Let's blast that out. That was created by Michael Armstrong, and I've seen this before. But man, that really does show the contrast. Imagine if mainstream media had this was made. Let's see when this was made. This was made fairly. That was very quick. This is new. This is recent, January 29th, 2016. So, but imagine if this were run on mainstream media right now, as is. Imagine the effect that would have. Imagine if we could jack into mainstream media, like hijack a CNN primetime broadcast to give you this. Hey, Occupy guys, anonymous guys, do you think we could do that? I would be willing to provide the feed from here and be the fall person for the IP address. If you could figure out a way to jack into mainstream media, if we could take over mainstream media during prime time, let's push out this so that everybody has a chance to see the truth about Hillary Clinton. Imagine what that would do for Bernie Sanders' campaign. I am willing to do that, folks. I mean that. I mean that as a serious call. Let's see if we can't hijack a satellite. Let's see if we can't jack into mainstream media feed, anybody's feed, coming from somewhere. I will use this place and this equipment as the fall person if the FBI or whoever the fuck wants to come after us. But that is a big way that we could get this information out massively. Corporate media needs to be shown, one, that they can be pwned. Okay, because I know the 99 are very capable of taking over that network. And two, that we can broadcast the truth to everybody. Because really, this is a planetary crisis, folks. This is a planetary crisis. This is not an election cycle. This isn't even just a populist movement. We have a very small window of time to repair our planet and make things right, or we're all gonna die sooner than we want to die. That information is not being pushed out by mainstream media. Exxon knew this was happening 40 years ago. If you're a millennial and you're listening to this, we have to act. I will act this big. No, we can certainly do it. I think we can certainly do it. We've done it before. Let's do it. Anyway, let's see how we can do is blast this out. This is another reason why all of the independent networks on the web need to band together, because TYT has 2.5 million viewers, okay, and they get like 11,000, 12,000 people in one shot. But we need to find a way to hijack the main pipeline into the misinformed. The electorate that we still have left to inform is the voter base for Hillary Clinton. That's what it is. I need to inform that voter base. I need to get that vote. We need to inform that voter base. I know. I realize it sounds like a ridiculous, crazy pie in the sky idea. Imagine that. I'm thinking big. Hijack a satellite. That's what I'm thinking. Think big. Why not? We looked at that. What else did I have here? I apologize to Sean Porter. He worked really fast to get this piece to us. I'll be talking about this. Get big money out of elections. Organizing support for constitutional amendment is our best opportunity. We need to fix the Constitution. All right, this is going on in Seattle. Sean has some footage from that yesterday. This is democracy in action. This is people in the state of Seattle state of Washington going, fuck this. That we need to change this now. And it makes me happy to know that we do have progressive politicians. We do have people stepping up to the plate. There are, I know I can reach. I figure there's either someone watching from Anon or they'll get in touch with me. I think I've had conversations with some that I'm aware of and some Occupy people and whatnot. It's just an idea. I certainly, we need to be disruptive. We need to be as disruptive as possible. There's a reason why I drop a lot of F-bombs. There's a reason why I get so angry and I keep this like this, okay? I don't believe in being politically correct. That term politically correct was created by the establishment back when I was a kid, okay, to basically keep us in our place. Oh, that wouldn't be politically correct. Don't say that. What, saying the truth? Speaking the truth about politics is not politically correct? That's exactly what they've turned it into. So this show will have nothing to do with correct unless it's the truth. Period, the end. That's why the sweater. That's why we do it this way. Right? Well, that and got no other clothes and no money. But that's not the important part. I want to, Lou, do you have anything you want to say? Is there anything going on in comments? I know this is flying by fast. We're at 10:16 already. Thoughts, feelings, Lou? Nothing? Anything? No? I'm going to make sure I covered everything. Clinton claims progressive, video, Hill not progressive. Right. Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say the whole thing of getting this out. Yeah, folks, continue informing people, continue showing people all these things, continue pointing them out. I mean, obviously anybody that's on Twitter, and I heard you yesterday with the little Twitter rant that you've learned what that's all about. Saw that even Bernie Sanders himself is tired of the BS and is starting to call out what is exactly real and what we've all known for years. You can't have it both ways. You can't go both ways. It's now a choice. Are you going to say that you're going to raise $2 billion to run an election or $50 million from the people? I'm going to stick with the guy that's taking $50 million from the people. And yeah, I know that ticks off a lot of corporate media because that means you're not going to get much money from him for commercials. But I don't think democracy is about commercials.
Very good. Thank you. It is not. And that gives us just enough time. I'm gonna play. We played Hillary, okay, and we listened to a lot of her statements. And just for contrast, Lou, since this is about compare and contrast, which is something that mainstream media doesn't seem to do very well, or they do it in their own way. So here's Bernie. This is Matt Orfalea. Please let me know how your name is pronounced if you're around, Matt. You're the Bernie Bongo guy, and I never give you enough credit for that. So the link is in the description, folks. But this is Bernie Sanders is a beast, bold leadership. We're going to watch this, and then we're going to come back really quick to talk, just to say ending statements, what we're doing today, and then we're going to end with my favorite song at this point in 2016. But here you go.
In case you don't know, and you haven't seen the latest polls, the American people hold the President of the United States in contempt. They hold this institution in contempt. They hold the Republican Party in contempt. They hold the Democratic Party in contempt. They think that maybe, given all of the crises facing this country, it's about time that there was some bold leadership here. You use the word homos in the military. You have insulted thousands of men and women who have put their lives on the line. You insulted Mr. Castle. Mr. Castle, a few moments ago, a good Republican, told you that we're seeing not only the decline of manufacturing jobs, but white-collar information technology jobs. You have insulted tens of millions of American workers. You support a trade policy which is selling them out, only working for the CEOs. They're substantially increasing health care costs for veterans who have put their lives on the line defending this country. They're increasing our deficit, increasing our national debt, all on behalf of the richest people in this country. This bill is bought and paid for by millionaires and billionaires, and anyone who votes for it should be ashamed of themselves. We're spending $270 billion a year on the military, but we don't have a major enemy. I know it hurts your feelings. I know you're upset about it. I know you're hoping and praying that maybe we'll have another war. Maybe somebody will rise up. Who you worried about? Iraq? Panama? Who you worried about? I'll tell you who I'm worried about. I'm worried about the fact that our workers are seeing a decline in their standard of living. They want to see our industry be rebuilt. Does any of this matter to you? Do you give one whit of concern to the middle class and working families of this country? CEOs make more than 500 times of what their workers make. The middle class is shrinking. We have the greatest gap between the rich and the poor of any industrialized nation, and this is an economy that is improving. I hate to see what would happen if our economy was sinking.
What I have said ever since this financial crisis began, if a financial institution is too big to fail, that financial institution is too big to exist.
If Wall Street does not end its greed, we will end it for them.
You want to know why the American people are angry and disgusted and frustrated? 95% of all new income created in this country went to the top 1%.
The United States has the lowest voter turnout of any industrialized nation on earth. And listening to this debate here tonight, the only question that comes to my mind is why 40% of the people bothered to vote. The previous speaker talked about two sides of the aisle. I suggest that he was implying that there are basic differences of opinion. I think most Americans don't perceive that. They see one big aisle. And they would like to see people in this body begin to stand up for the working people and the poor people and the elderly people who are getting ripped off outrageously by this S&L bailout. The American people want to see our kids educated. They want a Head Start program. They want their kids to be able to go to college. They want to wipe out the fact that 5 million children in this country go to bed hungry. Let's have the guts to give some leadership to this country.
Don't underestimate me.
No matter how many children live in poverty, no matter how high the unemployment numbers are, they want more, and more.
So there you go. That's Bernie Beast. Bernie Sanders is a beast. Bold leadership. That's a fantastic compilation of Bernie Sanders over the years. Goes back pretty far. I guarantee you will not find a record like that. When Hillary Clinton defends her progressive record, she defends this section of it or that section of it. Oh, this time when I did or said this. She generalizes. Oh, we're all for the same progressive values. Hillary, your values are not progressive. Your values are of the establishment. You keep saying progressive. I do not think you know what that word means. Somebody needs to make that a freaking meme for her. That's the problem here. That is not reality. She is not a progressive. And that is the problem. Bernie Sanders is a freaking beast. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm glad that was good. I was watching all your comments. Do we need 85 moderators here? Seems dumb. We must have some trolls that have been showing up. And just like I wasn't familiar, didn't understand the fact that we definitely have some older individuals. I didn't know of anybody's age. So I apologize. I will change the way I address the audience because now I know that the audience is much more different than I expected. And apparently we've got some trolls hanging out. Here's the deal, trolls. We love you. You're misinformed. And that's okay. We're going to help you understand what's going on. We're going to help educate you. There's no, we get it. There are lots of misinformed, uneducated individuals that show up here and spew stuff. If you have an argument to make that's intelligent, make it. If you don't, we're probably going to block you or get rid of you because the conversation we're having here, we'd like to keep a conversation. It's about a discussion. And so, if you want to contribute to the conversation, please. If you have some references, if you have some documentation, if you have anything to show to prove your statements, we'd love that. Because I'm about being shown wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. Okay? Let's explore the reality of these candidates together. Okay? But telling me that Trump is this and Trump is that, blah, 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 give me some data. Show me some proof. I'm more than happy to look at any data, any proof you have of Trump's ability to run, of Cruz's ability to lead. I don't care. I would like Hillary people in here, okay? I would like Hillary people in here because I want anybody who is still really fighting for Hillary to show up in these conversations and tell me why. Just give me a why. I want to know why. Yeah. What?
Yeah, but we're doing good this morning. I mean, let's be honest. Usually, I haven't actually seen any trolls this morning.
I just saw one come through.
I know. Yeah, there's folks talking. It's a long thing with the chat right now. There were some folks that were kind of getting a little mad, about moderating that sometimes we don't even as mods even put people in timeout. Sometimes you get and you get typing so much and YouTube just does it, but folks don't understand that. But we do keep mods here because this is engagement broadcasting and we want folks to be able to talk and we want to be able to talk back to them. like the meta debates and those kinds of things, man, we do need a lot of freaking trolls on the bigger shows when there are thousands. And to be honest, a lot of them were just coming in saying, hey, this morning. So we're doing good. All the mods are coming in just saying, hey, so it's all good.
Thank you. Yeah, that's that. Okay, so I get it. See, these conversations fly by so fast, and that's another reason we keep them moderated. There are a lot of wrenches, a lot of people who moderate because we have a great audience. That's really what it comes down to. Is that I look, you guys, there's nothing fancy here. You see it? There's nothing fancy here. What we're having is a great conversation, and what matters is the conversation. John, older folks don't care if you swear. Please don't adjust. Fuck that. Well, thank you. Listen, it's mixed. I get comments in the email that, hey, tone it down, Bernie Sanders message. And I get it. I understand. I struggle with it myself. But I do want to say this. There's a reason we are not connected with the official campaign. There's a very good reason outside of FEC rules. The reason we're not connected with the campaign is because we need to be a loud, more obnoxious, more forward pushing voice. Right? We are the radical voice of the revolution. And we do work in conjunction with all of the grassroots organizations that will work with us, including the Sanders Event grassroots team, because that's how we're coordinating to get streams. But we don't coordinate outside of that, because what we do here is reach. This has a point. This is a purpose beyond Bernie Sanders' point. And we don't want corporate establishment media to look at what we're doing here and somehow use it to attack Bernie Sanders. And right now they could still do that. It's probably a glitch. Should I personally? We love the F-bombs. I love this. And if there are more trolls, that's fine. Like I said, that's fine. That was the whole purpose of this. I just want to say this, guys. The last week has been ridiculous. Like, the level of intensity of what's going on went doubled. Okay. That's why I'm changing the whole format to be able to accommodate a stream in 10 minutes. We used to have this big long formality about rundowns and beginning and all this bullshit. Now it's like, look, it's like the press conference I released yesterday. 17 minutes of press conference was all I had of a feed because somebody was like, here it is. That press conference was supposed to be from our gear the day before. That's how nuts these things are. So anybody drops me a feed, anybody sends me a feed, and I will just, if we're like, I'll ask the production group, should we go live with this? Yes, bam, we'll just be up. And I'll make a quick call to everybody. Your activity here, everybody's activity here, the reason why there are 85 comment moderators or whatever in here is because the engagement, the activity that we have on these broadcasts is all about Bernie Sanders, is all about what we're talking about. And on the web and SEO, that's powerful. That's much more powerful than what a one-way, non-conversation broadcast would be from MSM. And that is where we have our advantage. The more of these conversations we have, and the bigger they are, and the more conversation happens in chat, the more valuable this video is overall in SEO value to the Bernie Sanders campaign. And that's why we try to do it this way. All right. So it all comes down to SEO and engagement. That's what the engagement broadcasting system was built for. And this is the biggest thing we can do with the campaign. I will tell you this, that they have made it clear to us that the amount of media we are pushing out on the web is badass. Okay. They are thrilled. And that means you guys. The reason they send me these documents or send out these documents a lot of times is so we can screen grab them and push them out, so we can take them and do other things. So they cannot directly say, thank you, 99, for everything you're flooding onto the internet, but they are saying that through us to you, okay? The more of this media we create, the more bombs, the more weapons of mass information we throw out at the enemy. We are carpet bombing the misinformed with weapons of mass information, folks. That is what we are doing right now. And when we need to, we will do targeted attacks. But it's targeted attacks with the truth. We are fighting with the truth, folks. You want to have a last word, Lou, or are we going to run Reagan? No, you don't have the last word. I'm sorry. Nico, damn, we talked about Auckland. But here's the thing about TPP, folks. So Obama, establishment politician, signed the TPP, which is horrific, okay? That doesn't put it into action. That just means that now it has to run before Congress. And so he's going to try to sneak it through, thinking we're not paying attention. There's a petition going around that I didn't put the link in, but we need to find it and get it out there, that I signed yesterday. And I put in a very, very angry message to my senator, who I probably didn't need to because he's probably already voting against it anyway. But I basically threatened him. I said, I don't think you understand, sir. If you don't vote the way the people want on this, and you vote to protect your establishment, the people are going to come after you. I personally will come after you. Now, maybe that'll get the police here, maybe they'll get the FBI here, but I want to make a very clear point to establishment politicians that the TPP has nothing in it for the people, and therefore the people are going to make damn fucking sure that you don't pass it, Congress. You want to see the pitchforks come out? It will with the TPP, and that is a threat. I just want to make that clear, because this is where we are, folks. We're on this precipice. If the TPP passes, all of this can be shut off like that. Our access to the truth, our ability to broadcast the truth ends if the TPP is signed. It is the death of our freedom of information. And Congress is eager to run that through. Your establishment government, including Hillary fucking Clinton, is eager to push this through. It is the death of our freedom. And I personally will not allow that to happen. And I know millions of other Americans will not as well. Comments on that? Lou, you want to say something before we run out of here?
Yeah, guys, just to let you know, the TPP in its entirety is now out on the web since Obama signed it. Elizabeth Warren did come out yesterday and say it is going to be a 100% up or down vote on it. There are no changes to be made anymore. And if you thought NAFTA was bad, and the consequences of that, which are affecting, again, my home state, because now the government's getting sued to put that damn pipeline through here again. TPP is NAFTA on steroids. The last thing, I'm going to say thank you to everybody. I apologize for the confusion in the chat. Thank you to John. Thanks to all the people watching and spreading the word about Bernie 2016 TV. Yes, there is a debate tonight. And I'm going to put a link in the chat about something that has to do exactly with money and politics in this state, and how, yes, you could buy a senator for $500, and that vote's coming up. So if you folks know somebody, please push it out. Have a good one, folks.
Thank you, Lou. Appreciate that. That's great. And hang on a second. Why is that up there? That's not supposed to be up there. It's supposed to be this thing. It's not supposed to be you, Lou. I'm sorry. And it's not supposed to be that picture either. Or that. How about, where'd it go? Maybe it's supposed to be this. Here. Guys, Terrence Strait, tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. Please join us. I'd love to have a big audience for Terrence. These are the politicians that need our help, folks. This is one of the guys that's never going to get any airtime from any mainstream media. And he's a Bernie-crat. He works for us. Let's get this guy in office, okay? We can fund him just like we can fund anyone. People suggesting me run for office, as soon as I have time, I would love to be someone who actually participates in my government at any level. Any level. I don't care. I would love that if it was a government that I knew was actually honest, a government where I thought I actually could accomplish something that was actually doing intelligent things, not just trying to make money for rich white fuckers. I would love to participate, but I never, just like everybody else, thought that it was even possible. I don't have $1 million. You know what? I do. And so do you. And so do all of us. If we want to take back our country, you decide to run for office, you let us know, and the 99 will put you there. That is the populist movement, folks. Ronald Reagan was an actor. Not at all a factor, but he was an actor just like Bush, just like Obama, just like Clinton. Okay, these are establishment politicians. The difference between the people and the establishment is what they care about. And when Killer Mike was 12, I think I was 18, 19 years old, based on his timeline here. And I was already doing all the drugs that Reagan was telling me not to do. And I remember this time. And I remember how praised Reagan was by the majority of the establishment at the time. Brought down USSR. And I had told you I was going to say something about Carter, and I owe Jimmy Carter a big apology. I've apologized a lot to Carter, and I've sung his praises for decades now. But when I was in the 3rd grade, I was a victim of mainstream media without even knowing. I was watching the Iran hostage crisis, which happened in 1979. So I was 9. Right? And I was watching this with my dad, and I could see the helicopters and what was going on. And for those of you who don't know, what happened in this was Jimmy Carter did not want to go to war. He hesitated on making a decision because he was a man of peace and he wanted to work this out with diplomacy. And shit went wrong. Shit went bad. They tried a rescue mission, and they found out that the helicopters that the military had that were designed for the Korean War, that they were still using today in the late 70s, didn't work well when sand was around. Now, that's a failing of the military, okay? But it was blamed on Jimmy Carter. And the fact that the operation to rescue the hostages was a failure was blamed on Jimmy Carter. And Jimmy Carter was labeled weak. And Jimmy Carter was labeled as a man who would not make a choice, or a man of inaction. He wasn't big balls and dicks and swinging around with guns and weapons, and we needed that. We could have had another 4 years of peace with Jimmy Carter, but mainstream media basically destroyed him. As a recession came in, gas prices were fucked, and Reagan came in and basically said, you need trickle-down economics, folks. The rich and the powerful, give them all the money, and it'll eventually come down to you. That's the problem. Take all this money out of our social services and let's stick it into the military, because that's where it needs to go. And I'll build us a big old strong military, not one with helicopters crashing in the sand like weakling Carter. And I was a clown. I was a class clown at the time in the 3rd grade. And I went into class, and I remember Jimmy Carter making a statement. And I thought it was pretty funny that I could imitate Jimmy Carter. We will not take military action against Iran. Now, that's not even I don't even know what he really sounds like now. It sounds more like Clinton. But that's what he said. We will not take military actions against Iran. I made fun of him in the 3rd grade because that's what I kept hearing from mainstream media. What a guy of inaction. Can you imagine this? They framed it to me at 9 years old that he was making a poor choice. Today, thank you, Jimmy Carter. Thank you for being a man of peace. Thank you for walking the talk all of your fucking life, unlike Hillary Clinton. Okay? Jimmy Carter, you were a great man, and I apologize for making fun of you in the 3rd grade. I was a victim of mainstream media, but I didn't have any other source of information. It's kind of the point, folks. Reagan. Relearn history. It is not what we think it was.
Government has a firm policy not to capitulate to terrorist demands, that no concessions policy remains in force. In spite of the wildly speculative and false stories about arms for hostages and alleged ransom payments, we did not, repeat, did not trade weapons or anything else for hostages. Nor will we.
The ballad of the bullet, some freedom or some bullshit. Will we ever do it big or just keep settling for little shit? We brag on having bread, but none of us are bakers. We all talk having greens, but none of us on acres. If none of us on acres and none of us grow wheat, then who will feed our people when our people need to eat? So it seems our people starve from lack of understanding, cause all we seem to give them is some ballin' and some dancing, and some talking about our car and imaginary mansions. We should be indicted for bullshit we inciting, and the children deaf and pretending it's exciting. We are advertisements for agony and pain. We exploit the youth, we tell them to join the gang. We tell them dope stories, introduce them to the game. Just like our lover North introduced us to cocaine in the 80s when them bricks came on military plane.
A few months ago, I told the American people I did not trade arms for hostages. My heart and my best intentions still tell me that's true, but the facts and the evidence tell me it is not.
The end of the Reagan era. I'm like Lemma 12er, old enough to understand the shit had changed forever. They declared the war on drugs, like a war on terror. But what it really did was let the police terrorize whoever. But mostly black boys, but they would call us niggas and lay us on our belly while they fingers on their triggers. They boots was on our head, they dolls was on our crotches, and they would beat us up if we had diamonds on our watches. And they would take our drugs and monies as they pick our pockets. I guess that's the privilege of policing for some profit. But thanks to Reaganomics, prison turned to profits. Cause free labor's the cornerstone of U.S. economics. Cause slavery was abolished unless you are in prison. You think I ambush it and then read the 13th Amendment. Involuntary servitude and slavery it prohibits. That's why they giving drug offenders time in double digits. Ronald Reagan was an actor, not at all a factor. Just an employee of the country's real masters. Just like the Bushes, Clinton and Obama. Just another talking head telling lies on teleprompters. If you don't believe the theory, then argue with this logic. Why did Reagan and Obama both go after Gaddafi? We invading sovereign soil, going after oil. Taking countries is a hobby, paid for by the oil lobby. Same as in Iraq and Afghanistan. And Ahmadinejad say they coming for Iran. They only love the rich and how they load the poor. If I say any more, they might be at my door. Who the fuck is that? Staring in my window, doing that surveillance on Mr. Michael Render. I'm dropping off the grid before they pump the lead. I leave you with 4 words, I'm glad Reagan dead.
Huge